In the news this week, the Lord Chancellor says the government has no plans to legalise assisted suicide, likely changes to gender recognition law are announced, and Christian songwriters are using lockdown to share worship online. Hello. The Lord Chancellor has told a parliamentary committee that the government has no plans to review the current law on assisted suicide. Activists have been pushing for the current protections against assisted suicide to be removed, despite the risks to vulnerable people. Parliament last debated changing the law in 2015, when MPs resoundingly voted against the plans by 330 to 118. Robert Buckland, who is also the Justice Secretary, told the Joint Committee on Human Rights that he personally holds grave doubts about introducing a change to the law which would be open to abuse.
Personally, I have some grave doubts about the efficacy of drafting a law that would prevent the sort of unintended consequences and abuses that none of us would want to see happen. That's my personal view. It's not government policy, because it is for, I think, Parliament to make these decisions. So we don't currently have any plans to initiate a review of the law in this area, or to indeed publish a call for evidence.
The Minister for Women and Equalities has announced several changes to gender recognition law to a mixed response. While the full government plans will be announced in the summer, MP Liz Truss said sex change treatments for under 18s will be banned, single-sex spaces will be protected, but that adults should be free to lead their lives as they see fit. However, she did not give any detail on how the government will proceed.
There are three very important principles that I will be putting in place. First of all, the protection of single-sex spaces, which is extremely important. Secondly, making sure that transgender adults are free to live their lives as they wish, without fear of persecution, whilst maintaining the proper checks and balances in the system. And finally, which is not a direct issue concerning the Gender Recognition Act, but is relevant, making sure that the under 18s are protected from decisions that they could make that are irreversible in the future.
The Institute's Kieran Kelly said the government needs to provide clarity.
Well, it does sound like under 18s won't be able to undergo life-altering treatments and that single-sex spaces are going to be protected, and that's good. I think the overwhelming majority of people will welcome those steps if they happen, but there are some unanswered questions. Will the restrictions be limited to surgery? Are they going to include puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones? And these need to be regarded as life-altering treatments too. And we'll have to wait and see how the Minister intends to reconcile her promise to protect single-sex spaces with her desire to allow transgender adults to live life as they please. And she says there'll be controls. What will those controls be? The fact of the matter is that it's not possible to change biological sex, and that needs to be the foundation of the government's considerations going forward.
Activists around the world are breaking social distancing rules in order to protest pro-marriage organisations and pro-life laws. In New York, LGBT activists are protesting about a field hospital because of its Christian statement of faith. Samaritan's Purse set up the 68-bed crisis centre to treat COVID-19 patients, but LGBT activists claim the hospital is spreading hate because the charity adheres to mainstream Christian beliefs about sex. Franklin Graham, who runs the charity, described the criticism as tone-deaf at a time when volunteers were risking their lives to provide critical medical care. Meanwhile, pro-abortion activists in Poland have defied lockdown to protest against a bill aiming to protect disabled babies from abortion. Despite the ban on public gatherings, activists took to the street waving pro-abortion placards. And finally, Christian songwriters Keith and Kristen Getty are sharing their music during lockdown to help others worship in song. The couple, who co-wrote In Christ Alone and The Power of the Cross with Stuart Townend, decided to live stream their songs on social media. Kristen came up with the idea to help those lonely or bored in lockdown. They didn't think it would get much traction, but Keith said by the end of the second week it was total chaos, with 1.1 million people tuning in. It's been a huge hit in a way we never imagined. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.